The Grapes of Wrath is an American realist novel written by John Steinbeck and published in 1939. The book won the National Book Award and Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, and it was cited prominently when Steinbeck was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1962. Set during the Great Depression, the novel focuses on the Joads, a poor family of tenant farmers driven from their Oklahoma home by drought, economic hardship, agricultural industry changes, and bank foreclosures forcing tenant farmers out of work. Due to their nearly hopeless situation, and in part because they are trapped in the Dust Bowl, the Joads set out for California. Along with thousands of other Okies, they seek jobs, land, dignity, and a future. The Grapes of Wrath is frequently read in American high school and college literature classes due to its historical context and enduring legacy. A celebrated Hollywood film version, starring Henry Fonda and directed by John Ford, was released in 1940. Gone with the Wind is a novel by American writer Margaret Mitchell, first published in 1936. The story is set in Clayton County and Atlanta, both in Georgia, during the American Civil War and Reconstruction era. It depicts the struggles of young Scarlett O'Hara, the spoiled daughter of a well-to-do plantation owner, who must use every means at her disposal to claw her way out of poverty following Sherman's destructive march to the sea. This historical novel features a Bildungsroman or coming-of-age story, with the title taken from a poem written by Ernest Dowson. Gone with the Wind was popular with American readers from the outset and was the top American fiction bestseller in 1936 and 1937. As of 2014, a Harris poll found it to be the second favorite book of American readers, just behind the Bible. More than 30 million copies have been printed worldwide. Written from the perspective of the slaveholder, Gone with the Wind is Southern plantation fiction. Its portrayal of slavery and African Americans has been considered controversial, especially by succeeding generations, as well as its use of a racial epithet and ethnic slurs common to the period. However, the novel has become a reference point for subsequent writers of the South, both black and white. Scholars at American universities refer to, interpret, and study it in their writings. The novel has been absorbed into American popular culture. Mitchell received the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction for the book in 1937. It was adapted into a 1939 American film. Gone with the Wind is the only novel by Mitchell published during her lifetime. Mitchell used color symbolism, especially the colors red and green, which frequently are associated with Scarlett O'Hara. Mitchell identified the primary theme as survival. She left the ending speculative for the reader. She was often asked what became of her lovers, Red and Scarlett. She replied, "For all I know, Red may have found someone else who was less difficult." Two sequels authorized by Mitchell's estate were published more than a half-century later. A parody was also produced. The Godfather is a crime novel written by American author Mario Puzo. Originally published in 1969 by G. P. Putnam's Sons, the novel details the story of a fictional mafia family based in New York City and Long Beach, New York, headed by Vito Corleone. Puzo's dedication for The Godfather is for Anthony Clary. The epigraph for The Godfather is "Behind every great fortune there is a crime." Balzac. The novel covers the years 1945 to 1955, and also provides the backstory of Vito Corleone from early childhood to adulthood. The book is noteworthy for introducing Italian words like consigliere, caporegime, cosa nostra, and omerta to an English-speaking audience. It inspired a 1972 film of the same name. Two film sequels, including new contributions by Puzo himself, were made in 1974 and 1990. The films are widely held in high esteem as examples of the cinematic arts. Gone Girl is a thriller novel by the writer Gillian Flynn. It was published by Crown Publishing Group in June 2012. The novel soon made the New York Times bestseller list. The novel's suspense comes from Nick Dunn, and whether he is involved in the disappearance of his wife. In several interviews, Flynn has said that she was inspired to write the novel by the disappearance of Lacey Peterson. In portraying her principal characters who are out-of-work writers, she made use of her own experience being laid off from her job as a writer for Entertainment Weekly. Critics in the United States positively received and reviewed the novel. Reviewers praised the novel's use of unreliable narration, plot twists, and suspense. A film adaptation, directed by David Fincher and written by Flynn, with Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike starring, was released on October 3, 2014. The film was met with both commercial success and widespread critical acclaim. The Last of the Mohicans, a narrative of 1757-1826, is a historical novel by James Fenimore Cooper. It is the second book of the Leatherstocking Tales pentalogy and the best known to contemporary audiences. The Pathfinder, published 14 years later in 1840, is its sequel. The Last of the Mohicans is set in 1757, during the French and Indian War, the 7 Years' War, when France and Great Britain battled for control of North America. During this war, both the French and the British used Native American allies, but the French were particularly dependent, as they were outnumbered in the northeast frontier areas by the more numerous British colonists. The novel is set primarily in the upper New York wilderness, detailing the transport of the two daughters of Colonel Monroe, Alice and Cora, to a safe destination at Fort William Henry. Among the caravan guarding the women are the frontiersmen Natty Bumppo, Major Duncan Hayward, and the Indians Chingachgook and Uncas, the latter of whom is the novel's title character. These characters are sometimes seen as a microcosm of the budding American society, particularly with regard to their racial composition. The novel has been one of the most popular English-language novels since its publication and is frequently assigned reading in American literature courses. It has been adapted numerous times and in many languages for films, TV movies and cartoons.